is also putting more sus on Athena.
Pan, I hope you're here, because I don't know where else to look for you.
Of course I'm here, Grace. Where else would I be but amongst the trees and the wild things? I really must thank you, by the by. Asterion is simply over the moon, and he's already repaid me with this select tome from the reliquary.
Of course.
That's why you did all this? Because you wanted some book?
Not just some book, but a tome from the forbidden depths.
I doubt Hecate would be pleased.
Oh, most assuredly not. Neither would Athena, which makes it all the more delicious. I trust you got what you needed. More grist for the mill of your innocence, as it were.
It's quite the coincidence. The place you sent me just happens to be the place Calliope was attacked.
That is quite the coincidence. You must be very grateful.
It's just hard to trust a coincidence that big.
You have no reason to be suspicious. I know nothing of what happened to Calliope at the reliquary. I suppose the question at the heart of this is, do you believe me?
Nope. Okay, let's try romancing him once.
You're enjoying this, aren't you? This tit for tat, back and forth.
I'll enjoy it if you're enjoying it.
Well, I'm not enjoying it.
Oh my, aren't you a delight? Even if you haven't answered the question, don't think I didn't notice. I've never lied to you, Grace, and I never shall. If you're looking for innocence, however, well, I'm afraid that's one thing I cannot provide.
What if I discover you're lying to me after all?
You'll do what you do, and I'll do what I do, and we'll see where that takes us.
Do I need his help? I mean, it's not like it hasn't been helpful. But I also think like I'm being played. Like I'm a pig and he's riding me with a carrot on his stick.
I hope it's somewhere good. Somewhere I'm not on trial.
Oh, my. You do know how to spoil the mood, don't you? If I can make a suggestion, live the high life. Throw caution to the wind.
That's your suggestion?
And why not, unless you truly prefer Persephone forever running hot and cold? Take my hand, Grace. Take my hand.
I'm not gonna give up on Persephone because you say so.
You'd rather she gave up on you first? Do you truly prefer such misery before you,
Before I die? You don't have any hope for me, do you? You're just taking what you can get before it's over.
You'll want to find Medusa, I suppose.
Yeah, her name keeps coming up.
You'll find Medusa at a dingy little club appropriately named the Viper's Nest. Give her my regards. But do be careful if you call on her, Grace. Medusa is a hideous monster and should be treated as such.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to Freddy first, then I'm gonna try Persephone. Then I go to talk to Medusa.
Hey, so what's the news, Miss Muse?
Miss Muse.
Well, does a muse have a proper form of address? I just want to hear what exciting adventures you've been having.
Well, I stopped the goddess of love from killing herself, I guess.
Whoa. Do gods have interventions? You know, they're nothing like I thought they would be. Everything else okay, though? Do we know who the killer is yet?
Not just yet, no.
Okay, well, let me know if there's anything I can do. If I have to hustle to become your high priestess, well, so be it.
Exactly how much do you know about the Greek gods, Freddy?
I know my Greek mythology, but what I've read clearly doesn't line up with who they are today. Or who they ever were, maybe.
Still might be useful. There's gotta be some truth to those stories, right?
Maybe? Who do you want to hear about?
Do you know anything about the muses? Or Calliope in particular?
Yeah, for starters, there were supposed to be 9, though I guess there are some sources that said there were only 4, maybe 3. Each of the muses had her specialty. Did you know that Calliope is supposed to be the muse of epic poetry? She inspired the Odyssey.
Wow. I don't even like poetry.
Yeah, it was said her singing voice was unmatched. So they got that part right, at least.
Did she also lead the ancient Greeks in giant choreographed dance numbers?
No, but she once turned a bunch of snobby princesses into magpies, so there's that.
What about Athena? Is she really supposed to be the goddess of wisdom?
Sure, but mostly that's meant as
Tactical knowledge.
knowledge. Athena wasn't all sweetness and light. She was a warrior goddess.
Mm-hmm.
She was also the goddess of heroes. There are loads of stories where Athena helps guys like Odysseus or Jason or Perseus.
No female heroes back in those days?
Yeah, guess not. Women were the weaker sex, which maybe is why Athena was portrayed as being vindictive. She cursed Medusa, one of her own priestesses. She turned people into spiders, struck them blind, started the Trojan War. It's the whole thing.
Not being as wise as advertised is on brand for her, then. What about Apollo?
Okay, so the prophecy stuff checks out. Apollo was god of the sun and light, but also kind of enlightenment in general. He's always talked about as this beautiful and cultured god involved with the arts and the muses, kind of a Renaissance man before the Renaissance.
He's clearly had a rough time since those days.
Well, he was also a giant horn dog, Grace. I can list off like a dozen men and women Apollo has had as lovers, and there's probably more.
Weren't they all like that, though?
I mean, Apollo's no Zeus. He never assaulted anyone as a swan. And no, they aren't all like that. Our sun god had a reputation.
Tell me what you know about Persephone.
Honestly, she's the least like her stories. Usually, she's either a victim or just the wife of Hades, or both.
And that's it? She was kidnapped by Hades, end of story?
Pretty much. Her mother was so angry, she created winter. But otherwise, Persephone was just your average sweet and virginal fertility goddess.
You're right, that doesn't sound like her at all.
Must be hard to be defined by this one thing that happened to you thousands of years ago. I'd be pissed if everyone thought my story ended there.
Well, she is pretty pissed. That much is true.
Oh, I guess I did that, huh?
You said Pan was some kind of lust god, right?
Yeah, kind of. Pan's a god of the wild, and I guess that translates into a sort of lustfulness and earthiness, humping nymphs in the forest sort of thing.
And you don't like him.
Honestly, he's exactly what I'd expect him to be. All the stories say he's a lech and a beast. The Christians equated him with the devil. Weirdly, he's also the only god who's supposed to have died, though it's never really clear how or why. Anyhow, there's a great statue depicting Pan having sex with a goat. Next time you see him, you gotta ask him about it.
Just how many of these gods are there? From what I've heard, lots of idols live around here.
Well, there are tons of minor gods in Greek mythology, hundreds even, depending on how you define them. Oddly, there's never any mention of the word idols in relation to them. Maybe it's like how people worshipped idols?
I sort of assumed it was related to the eidolon.
Which is a Greek word, but I think it means ghost. An image of someone after they die.
Makes sense.
Me? I'm more amazed at all the big names missing. Not just Zeus and Hades, most of the Olympians seem to be gone. Makes you think about what's been lost, but also what might still be out there.
You think there might be other gods out there?
Well, there are all those gods the idols say wandered off. We don't know they're dead for sure, right? They could be living it up in Australia. Who would know? Then there are all the other mythologies, hundreds of cultures, each with their own pantheon. So what's so special about the Greeks? That only their gods are real, right? And all those other pantheons could be living in secrecy, just like the idols. And that means they're hidden from each other, too. Oh, they could be everywhere and no one would know.
It's like a whole other secret side to the world.
Yeah, that's cool, right? I hope I get to meet Ganesha one day. Or maybe Lakshmi? Oh.
Welcome back, by the way, Cypher. Yeah, great moment to come back.
I wonder how much of those stories are true.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I'm giving you the quick version. There are reams of textbooks out there covering all this, but even they rarely agree with each other.
Really? Nothing definitive?
Ancient Greece was 3,000 years ago, Grace. Not much information survived all that time, if it was even valid to begin with.
You know what I find weird? That the idols have managed to remain completely secret all these years. Sure, they have magic and whatnot, but in all this time, nobody's found them out? Athena is that good?
Who says nobody has found them out? The way I see it, it's like UFOs.
Okay, I have to hear this.
Okay, so you could have real evidence that UFOs exist and that governments have covered it up and people still wouldn't believe it. Why? Because they'd get laughed at if they admitted it. Imagine the headline, Greek gods exist and are living among us. What website would even run that?
Weird conspiracy ones. Yeah, you're right. What are Kaz and Brian up to? You didn't tell them anything, did you?
No, I told them you came home, that you're okay, but that you're having a moment. They send their love.
Should we tell them, do you think?
What for? They have their own problems. Plus, Brian can't keep a secret to save his life, and Kaz is officially homeless.
Is he still crashing on Brian's couch?
Grace, you do know that Brian doesn't have a couch, right? Just some giant beanbag things?
Then where is Kaz Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cute. They'll tell us when they're ready. But right now, it's best just to not mix them up in this.
Oh, come on. Seriously, Grace, you didn't figure that out from the start. It was so obvious.
I should really apologize about the band. This kind of puts a dent in your plans, doesn't it?
You're right, Grace. How dare you sabotage my dreams? I am so mad I could spit.
You know what I mean. Nobody could have seen this coming, sure, but it's always been something with me.
Well, as I see it, there are two ways this goes down. One, neither of us gets back to the band. It was just a thing we did for a while before I founded a cult in your name. Or two, we get back to it and the band now has the Muse as its lead singer. Edge of Elysium becomes the coolest and most appropriate band name ever.
Ugh, I still really hate that name.
Look, Grace, you can't be the source of all the drama and name the band, okay? That's the rule.
Okay, that's enough questions for now.
You sure? I can talk all day. You know I can.
I'll check back with you soon, Freddy. Time for more mystery solving.
I mean, to be fair, the band could potentially really take off now that Grace is a full-blown muse. Muse. What are the chances that we're gonna get kicked out right away? Probably pretty good. Crossing our fingers here. Uh-oh.
back from your visit to the reliquary?
How did you know I was there?
Athena was ranting about it when I left her. She's none too pleased about you breaking the rules. Let's hope what you learned was worth it.
Oh, so we're still good? We're still good?
Medusa was at the reliquary that night. You don't intend to confront her directly, do you?
You think I shouldn't? How else will I find out why she was there?
There's always a way, Grace. Asking someone directly isn't the only method. Still, while I hate to say it, confronting Medusa may be your best option.
You could come with me when I talk to her.
Trust me, if I'm anywhere within a mile, she'll have vanished by the time you so much as knock on her door. Just lie to me and say you'll be careful. On a different matter, I've had time to do some thinking. I may have been too dismissive after Aphrodite's party. You no doubt have many questions about the Eidolon and Calliope's memories.
Apollo told me a little about it. He did say I should talk to you, though.
Did he now? Is there anything you'd like to ask?
I'm just so happy that Persephone doesn't hate me. Even though I'm pretty sure I made the wrong choice back there.
When all these memories start to return, will I feel different?
First, you'll have dreams. Places you've never been, people you've never met. But unlike with normal dreams, these will linger. Then they will come while you're awake. Sudden flashes or snippets of déjà vu. And sometimes it will seem so real you'll swear you're hallucinating. If there's anything difficult about the process, is that it becomes hard to differentiate between your life and all these other lives you're now recalling.
It does sound confusing.
Confusing and often unpleasant, as not all the memories will be fond ones. But that will pass in time.
You said it becomes hard to differentiate your life from the others. How hard, exactly? It'll still be me, right?
Oh, how do I explain this? Grace, would you say that you are who you are because of your experiences? The things you've lived and done?
I guess so, sure.
Well, all the things Calliope has done, and those before her, will now be yours. They will feel like a part of your life as well. Thus, they can't help but shape you. The Grace that is now will be and will have done so much more. Fortunately, you don't have to deal with every memory. Each time the Eidolon passes on, the oldest memories fade, and that helps.
Wait, how is it good that old memories start to fade?
Think of how old we are, Grace. If all those memories returned to you with perfect clarity, they would destroy you.
Yeah, but doesn't that mean you've all forgotten so much?
Well, far more than we remember. The further I think back, the more it becomes a bit of a blur, actually. You'll recall important moments. Some will be mixed up with the stories mortals tell, and you won't be sure which is the memory and which is the story. An idol's memory is a series of islands in a dark ocean, and they become smaller and smaller as they recede into the horizon. It sounds dire, but you become accustomed to it. It just takes time. And now you have all the time in the world.
How many times have you died? Can I ask that?
We call it passing on. I've lost track of just how many times I've passed on my Eidolon. A dozen? It's happened less often in more recent eras.
And the one you told me about, the woman married to that gangster? She was the most recent?
I don't think of Chastity as a she. That was me, just as the one my husband blasted with a shotgun was also me. It was one of the few times I wasn't able to prepare my successor. We were friends, yes, but I didn't know what Persephone was, and I had no idea what I'd just become.
That must have been difficult.
It was more difficult taking over my dead husband's territory. Women weren't often mobsters in those days.
Were you really a gangster? I've heard it said, but it sounds...
Let me put it this way. I felt as if I'd been blessed by a dying woman who saved me from a prison of my own making. I didn't know what I was, but I was free. I felt more alive than I'd ever felt before, and strong enough to toss an ox 10 feet. Did I set out to become a mobster? Not exactly. My husband's friends thought I'd murdered him, however, so they came after me. And one thing led to another.
Oh, I see.
Athena found me just as my memories were starting to return. I wasn't permitted to continue doing something so noticeable, so I was carted off to Olympus. It's too bad, really. I was an excellent mobster.
Persephone the badass for sure.
Wait, you said that Persephone passed on her eidolon as she lay dying. What if she had just died?
The eidolon will keep us alive for a time, even in the most horrific circumstances, in hopes that there's someone to pass it on to.
What if there isn't? What if Chastity had died before you were shot?
Well, then the line of Persephone would have ended then and there. Oh, there are some stories that say an eidolon will go wandering, that it never really dies. Who knows if there's any truth to that? It's not exactly something we've had the opportunity to study. All we know is that many idols have left us forever. They've died, and that's how it happens.
It's a lot to consider, assuming I'll even have time to worry about.
Either the trial will end poorly, in which case all of this is moot, or it will end well, and you will have plenty of time to digest.
Yeah, thanks for the update.
I'm a realist, Grace. It's what I'm best at. Now then, unless you've something else to ask.
Tell me more about Calliope. You and her were good friends, right?
We were.
And
if you had told me a decade ago that I would become close to one of the muses, I would have laughed in your face. I always considered them Apollo's creatures. Calliope, Clio, and Talia. Vapid, frivolous gods who handed off their eidolon to any artist who took their fancy. Every time I met one of them, they were someone else. Apollo called them the Sisters of Beauty, no matter their gender. Can you imagine that? It's such a stupid name.
I never thought of that. Do idols change gender a lot?
Well, we tend to seek out successors like ourselves, but it happens. With the muses, it happened frequently. Everywhere Apollo went, they surrounded him like a gaggle of ducklings, just like him to gather his own fans.
If you disliked the muses so much, how did you end up becoming friends with Calliope?
Well, she sought me out. She'd become more and more unhappy on Olympus, so she decided to leave just as I had, long before. Calliope asked for my help, and I laughed in her face. Go ask one of your sycophant mortals, I told her. I mean, surely one of them has some threadbare couch you can sleep on.
Wow.
Typically, she was undeterred. She didn't just want a place to stay. She said she wanted to learn how to be truly independent from an idol who had mastered it. What can I say? I mean, I am a sucker for a well-timed compliment. I took her in. Apollo was furious. He and Calliope were barely speaking, but he was certain she'd come crawling back to Olympus. Oh, it made taking her in all the sweeter.
After you took Calliope in, that's when you became friends?
Huh. No, not right away. I wasn't looking for a friend. What I was looking for was an opening act in the club. Calliope entertained here for years, and then eventually turned from performing to attracting new acts. She was in her element. She and I, we warmed up to each other eventually. She was more capable than I expected, and I adored her furious rants.
Calliope didn't seem like the furious type when I met her. That's hard to picture.
Oh, then you didn't really meet her. She was an idealist, and nobody could ever quite live up to her standards for very long. Her brothers and sisters, least of all. The idols needed to change, she said. They were withering away in the shadows, diminished and unwilling to save their own skins. When I joined the chorus, she expected me to change everything, as if I could single-handedly override Athena. I was to be her champion, and together we would bring revolution to the idols. Well, I was yet another disappointment. She left the club, but I gave her a place to live. We were supposed to stay in touch, but you know how it went from there.
What happened to the other muses? You mentioned 2 others. Were they lost in the war?
One of them was, though not like you think. The day we were to leave on the ship, Talia simply never showed up.
Do you know what happened to her?
We never heard from her again. Apollo thrashed about in mourning, but, Talia had been fading away for years. It wasn't a surprise to the rest of us.
What about the other muse, Cleo?
Died long before. A victim at the hands of a mortal man, when she no longer possessed the power to bedazzle him. As I understand it, he kept her in a cage as a pet until her eidolon shriveled up and perished. He was dead before she was.
Ugh, that's pretty dark.
Yes, well, we come by our wariness of mortals honestly, Grace.
I kinda don't wanna ask about Hades. Hey, tell me about your abusive husband who kidnapped you. Yeah, seems like a good question to ask Persephone.
I'd like to know a little more about the idols. I am one now, right?
What constitutes a little more in this instance?
Well, what are we? Where did we come from? If an idol is a soul that moves from person to person, it must have started somewhere, right?
Ah, the big question. To which the answer is, nobody knows. I remember the original Persephone only vaguely. Indeed, I'm not even certain she was the original. Was there something before her? How did she get her eidolon? I couldn't tell you. Evidently, we wrote little down in those early days, or were forbidden to, and our memories only stretch back so far. Anything beyond that simply isn't.
Psst. Isn't it strange to not know where you come from? For all you know, the idols could be aliens.
Aliens? Grace, you watch too many movies.
Gods are okay, but aliens are just wacky fiction.
Fine, yes. It is strange. No, our earliest days aren't the only blanks in our memories, however. We have many. And the last was the day Zeus called us all together to tell us Rome had fallen and we should prepare for war. But did that war occur? I couldn't tell you. The last thing I remember after Rome was 1,000 years later, in the 16th century. I was in a different body, feeling as if no time at all had passed. Athena calls that period the gap. And that's what it feels like. All of us experienced it, and not one of us knows why or how.
So they're like missing 1,000 years in memory, which probably aligns with the European Middle Ages. Maybe they're having a gap because back during that time no one believed in them, in the ancient Greek gods. Also, Evo, I feel like the only good thing that could come from asking about Hades is info about how to kill an idol. That's making me want to ask about Hades now. I think it was earlier Persephone mentioned that idols were hard to kill, so it was unlikely for mortals to do it. Yeah, that too. She did. I'm just really worried about it backfiring. I don't want to fall from grace.
The gap you mentioned. What was that like? Did you just wake up one day, or...
I wasn't asleep. I lived. I had lives. I passed on my eidolon. I may have known who I was and what I was, but perhaps I was completely unaware. All I know is that one day, Athena came to my nunnery, near Trieste, I think. The moment that I saw her, all the old memories came flooding back. My life during the gap was wiped away in an instant, and it never returned. If someone did that to us, they were powerful indeed.
What about Athena? I mean, she's the one who found you, right? She must have been aware.
Athena woke up on her own, or so she claims, and spent the next century rounding up those idols who remained. Zeus, however, was gone. What became of him, what happened in Rome, we've never pieced it together. It's troubling.
Tell me more about the war. It seems to have had a huge effect on all of you.
That's putting it mildly.
From Aphrodite's song, I know Ares betrayed everyone. What did you do?
Honestly, after my mother was murdered, I barely remember.
Your mother?
Her name was Demeter. Not truly my mother, but an idol who had always cared for me since the early days. I thought we'd be together forever. Then Ares brought those filthy bastards down on us. Demeter was slain by bullets. Until that day, I had believed we were untouchable.
How could that even happen? You were gods, weren't you? Even if soldiers surprised you.
Our powers aren't limitless, Grace. We can't leap tall buildings or bend steel bars, and we certainly aren't bulletproof. Once, possibly, but not by the war. And we also didn't have a plan. It was unimaginable that mortals would do this, even if they knew we existed. In short, we were fools. After that, I don't know. We went from hiding place to hiding place. I didn't even know what Hephaestus had done for us when I found myself on a boat. We might have been gods once, but after the war, we were just refugees, like so many others, fleeing to a distant land.
Was it hard for the idols to come to the New World? It's just a place like any other, isn't it?
Well, it wasn't the place that was hard, it was the fear. We knew we were vulnerable. We knew mortals could and would kill us. Suddenly, there were rules. We had to be secret. We had to stay close together. We huddled in the shadows and quaked each time the mortals so much as breathed in our direction. We couldn't all live that way. Some of us drifted away, faded into the night without so much as an explanation. That's what's been the hard part. Our inevitable decline in a place where we don't belong. We can pass on our eidolons as often as we like, but it will never truly be home.
Okay. Big decision now. Do I ask about Hades? Or not? I need some input. Do they ask about the Hades or not? Ah. Feel like it's safer not to. I do too, Evo. I do too. I kind of want to. I kind of want to ask about him. No. I won't.
That's all I can think of for now. I'll see you around.
Oh yes, that's where I'll be. Around.
Okay. Now, Medusa.
This must be the Viper's Nest. Scariest part of town, no sign. Just that one dude glaring at everyone. Well, I'm here now. Just another day in the life of an idol.
Oh, there you are. Man, this place is the worst. I think someone peed on me.
Freddy? What are you doing here?
What, you thought I wouldn't notice you skulking off? You didn't even bring any equipment, Grace.
Freddy, please tell me you don't think you're some kind of adventurer.
I'm sorry. Are you not about to head into a monster's lair at great personal peril? What else would you call that?
You're such a dork. I adore you.
Good, because I'm not about to let you wander in there without backup. Who knows? Maybe the stuff I know about Medusa might actually apply. Well, that'd be a switch.
Okay, I'll bite. What do you know about Medusa?
Well, you know she was human once, right? And she was cursed?
Apollo mentioned it, yeah.
Cursed by Athena. Or so one of the stories goes, anyway.
But doesn't she work for Athena?
Hey, don't look at me. My knowledge of this stuff stops at a few thousand years ago.
She was once human, but she's definitely a monster, right?
Yeah, one of the worst. But you know, so was the Minotaur.
Asterion said she was scary. I have a feeling she's not like him.
Then I guess you need to be prepared for the possibility that she is as bad as the legends say. Though some of the stories also say that she was wronged by Athena and that what was done to her was an injustice.
And Athena just follows the rules, right? Do you think she actually turns people to stone?
Let's hope not, or this could be a short visit. Or a really, really long one.
I'm serious!
Perseus used a mirror to reflect Medusa's gaze back at her. Oh, maybe you could use your phone.
You think that would work?
Unless you brought a mirror, Grace, it's all you got.
Okay, enough talking. Time to do this.
You have a plan for how we're getting inside, I hope?
Maybe. You're here to help?
Always.
Then I have a plan.
Use distraction, find another entrance, confront the enforcer. Let's try distraction.
Hi, this is where the comic convention is, right? I hope I'm not too late for the signing.
Ma'am, I'm afraid you had the wrong address.
What? No. Oh, God. No. No, that can't be right. Do you understand the indignities that I have endured? The weird looks, the body odors? Someone spilled coffee all over my cosplay outfit. No, do not tell me that I got it wrong. I spent $50 on this ticket. I demand my personal photo.
By the way, I saw Pan behind us, right there. I saw him.
Who's that there? You've messed up my flow. Just get your drink, girl, and take your seat. Oh, it's the muse. There are sacred bites, and then there's this sacred bite. So wrong, so right. I'm really gonna hate myself.
Medusa, listen, stop, I'm warning you. This is something you don't want to do.
Tell me more about me, look at you. A prime sashimi with opinions too.
Medusa, listen, I'm warning you.
Yes, keep on warning
There's no
me.
rewinding, it's something you can't undo. Can't undo.
It's kind of the point, lovely. Now look into me. Your body goes freely every time as it tenders, turning gently as it renders. What'd you say, Grace? You okay, Grace? Where's the game face this time? You are currently experiencing something I like to call the preparation. Any questions or comments? That's right, it is widely known that I can turn folks to stone. But oh, I won't this time. Cause this time I find dine. That oozy musey bloods my wine this time. Look into me. Oh, she's looking away. Hey, look
You flipped that hood.
me.
Then out came the snakes. Oh, you're so finally some stakes. Oh, the ice thing. What a difference an actual monster makes. Murdering muses.
Helps me relax.
I should sound out Athena about your naughty night snacks. Me and Athena need to touch base. I'll say what I've seen.
I'm getting quite keen to chew off that face. Now look into
Medusa, look into your own eyes. Nope. Okay, the phone thing doesn't work on you. Nevertheless, let's take a look at you. Fan called you hideous. That's just untrue.
enough.
I'd kill for eyes like that. The body too.
Don't look at me.
Maybe the hair needs some attending to.
Don't look at me.
Big picture, honey. It's nothing you can't undo. Yeah, you're not a killer. You're much too cute.
You're lost, little girl. No more Hail Marys. We both know the cute girl's you. The killer's me.
Don't know, you don't know.
I do know that you didn't
Kill Calliope. So you know that it's true that I didn't do it.
No.
Yes, you do know, you know. Does that mean Athena knows?
No. Fine grace, I'll take.
Just like fate made you, fate played me. Just like fate won't see what your eyes see when you look at me. Don't look at me.
You think that will hurt me, child? You have not done your homework.
Oh, sorry, just trying to get your attention. Yeah, I've been watching, and I'm willing to bet you can't turn me to stone before I burn your snakes off.
Stand down, Freddy. Let's give Medusa some space.
Yeah, okay. I'm watching her, though.
You ready to talk?
Oh, fine, fine. What exactly is it that you want, pretty muse?
You were at the reliquary the night Calliope was murdered. I want to know why.
Blast! This is why I didn't tell Lady Athena. I knew it would come back to haunt me. I only followed pretty Calliope to the reliquary. I never spoke to her, never even caught up to her. I swear it.
That's what Asterion told us, more or less.
But you were there that night.
Yes, I admit it. Ugh, Lady Athena will have my head. She'll mount it on a pike. Whatever you might think of me, I had no part in the muse's death. I did not even know she'd been attacked until I saw her fleeing.
You followed Calliope to the reliquary. Why were you shadowing her at all?
I am Lady Athena's spy master, yes. Calliope has been trouble from time to time.
So you were spying on her?
I keep watch over every idol who no longer lives in Olympus, but especially Calliope. When I realized she was headed to the reliquary that eve, I followed. I had a duty to Athena.
Did you ever find out why Calliope went there?
I was never close enough to ask. When I drew near to the reliquary, that is when I saw the muse fleeing. She was frightened, blooded, dying.
Let me guess, that made you hungry.
I gave chase, yes, but to discover the truth. I knew Lady Athena would wish to know.
That does make sense from your perspective.
I didn't learn the truth until later. And then it was far too late.
You haven't told Athena any of this?
Do I need to light things up again? 'Cause I'll do it.
I told her Calliope was at the reliquary that night. I did not tell her I was also there.
Why not? Wouldn't Athena find out from Hecate anyway?
I was not thinking clearly. I panicked. Lady Athena barely tolerates my presence as it is. If she thought I was involved in any way, if she even suspected...
Asterion said he caught up with you out in the fog. Is that right?
I thought he was the one who had attacked her. He is a great beast of a creature.
He killed Hecate's cat by accident, but this still seems hard to believe.
Yes, I only realized my mistake once I caught up to him, and by then the muse was gone.
And you never found her afterwards?
I thought she might flee to her pretty home, or to the sharp and prickly Persephone. She did neither.
Yeah, she came to see me. Why should we believe you? You did just try to eat me, remember?
I am telling you the truth.
Right, and not at all trying to cover your own ass.
You presented an opportunity. Oh, to taste the sweet, sweet blood of a hero once again. It's a problem. I've been working on it, I really have.
Uh-huh.
Well, what of Pan? The only reason I knew Calliope was going to the reliquary is because he informed me.
And
So
again.
much for never lying to me.
What were the odds, honestly?
Let's put a pin in that for the moment, shall we?
I am a monster. It's true, I do not deny it. It's still, I did not kill the muse.
I believe she didn't. It also lines up with what Asterion told us. And I don't think he attacked Calliope either. So Pan still sus. Athena still very sus.
Okay, let's say we believe you. For the moment.
Whatever you do, pretty muse, I beg you. Do not tell Athena of my indiscretion. Show mercy. I know what I am horrifies you. It horrifies me as well. I cannot help what I am. I did not ask to be cursed like this.
Indiscretion, huh? That's quite the word for it.
I cannot apologize for my hunger. I can only apologize that I am so very weak in the face of it.
I'll think about it.
I am a lost and cursed thing. No idol. If Lady Athena should learn the truth, I hope you find what you seek, pretty muse. And that we meet again someday. And sing a different song.
He knew. Right from the start, Pan knew Calliope was there that night.
Yeah, and who could have foreseen that he was lying to you the entire time? Who, I ask you, a mystery even the Oracle couldn't have penetrated.
Yes, fine, you were right, Freddy, as always.
Ha! See, was that so hard? Anyhow, you probably have a few questions for Mr. Goatman. I'll see you at home.
Would you really have tried to burn Medusa's face off? With an aerosol can?
Hell yeah! One hint of googly eyes and...
What would I do without you?
You'll never need to answer that question, Grace.
Oh, if it isn't, the lovely Grace?
You knew. Right from the start, you knew Calliope was there that night.
Well, yes. She asked for the key and I gave it to her, no questions asked. I told you I didn't know what happened to Calliope, and that's the truth. I did not. So I nudged you in the right direction.
So you were what? Just trying to be helpful? You still aren't telling me something.
What possible reason would I have to...
Tell me, right now.
Medusa learned that Calliope was going to the reliquary because I told her.
I know
Now,
that.
before you say anything, I had no idea of the fate awaiting our dear muse. And you yourself said Medusa was not responsible. I simply had to know if I'd inadvertently, rather innocently...
Sold her out? She came to you for help, and you gave her whereabouts to the highest bidder.
I am trying to help, Grace. In my way.
What do you mean, in my way? What way is that?
The way where I don't take all the blame.
What else will I discover, Pan? I'd rather learn it now than later.
I wish I could tell you, Grace. I truly do.
Let's try Persephone again before going home and ending the day. Just out of curiosity, if there's something there for us.
Back again so soon, Grace? You're practically a regular at the club. Did you end up finding Medusa? Or did she vanish the moment you came near, like she does with every other idol?
She definitely did not vanish. Maybe I better explain what happened.
Maybe later, hero.
I knew it. We never should have brought that monster to the New World. Athena is a fool to think Medusa can be controlled. You're fortunate to have made it out in one piece. It could have gone very poorly for you.
You're right. I should have brought you to protect little old defenseless me.
Ah. If I'd gone, you would have found nothing more than an empty building, I assure you.
Because you're so big and scary.
I'm glad you appreciate my finer qualities.
At any rate, Medusa might be in the clear. Pan, however, is not.
I don't imagine you've confronted him yet.
He admitted to selling out Calliope, but not to killing her. I don't know if I can believe him.
Nor I. Pan would do anything to save his own skin. Allow me some time to consider our next move. Now then, unless you've something else to ask.
No, not really. I'll see you later, Persephone.
Oh, damn, we're on day 5 already. I totally missed that. For some reason, I thought every act, because earlier I got an achievement for completing Act 1 after finishing the first day. And for some reason, I thought every day would be its separate act. But we're on day 5 already, of 7. Okay, so we're getting close to the end.
Oh, hi, Grace. I can just call you Grace, right?
That's my name. Where's Freddy?
She went out to get snacks. We were gonna watch TV while we waited, but, well, here you are.
Waited. Were you looking for me?
All over, yeah. Athena sent me to find you, but it wasn't easy. Yeah, you must have been busy.
Yeah, because I stand trial soon.
Right. Right, that makes sense. Anyway, I guess Athena wants to talk? I can zip us over to Olympus anytime, if you're free.
So this is what you do? Ferry people around?
I'm the god of messengers, baby. Travelers, doorways, any kind of transition, really. The old Hermes said that the transition part made even more sense for me, which, you know, extra cool, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I can connect any 2 doorways anywhere, just like that. So it's super easy to take people wherever. I don't mind.
You mentioned the old Hermes a lot. You knew him?
Yeah, I was homeless for a while. It wasn't a great time, and he took me in. Everyone's on the same journey, he used to say. Only the roads are different. And then he went on his journey. Man, I still miss him every day.
Wait, isn't he still inside you? Aren't you kind of the same person now?
Not yet. It's only been a year. Maybe I'll feel him again one day. That'd be nice.
You say it's easy, but do you like doing all these errands?
Huh. Yeah, I never thought about it. It's nice to have a purpose. Athena is super sweet, and she has a big, important job. Why wouldn't I want to help her out?
You can't be this nice. Are you for real?
Oh, well, the old Hermes used to say that a willingness to serve is more important than a willingness to be served.
Do I have a choice about seeing Athena? I'm not in the habit of being at anyone's beck and call.
I mean, I guess you could say no, but I wouldn't. If Athena wants something, she's gonna get it eventually. She had that look in her eyes, like she really wants to talk to you.
She could always come here. Everyone else does.
Athena entered the mortal world? And now she doesn't do that ever. Can you imagine?
How does Athena manage never entering the mortal world?
She doesn't have to, I guess. Everyone brings her everything she needs. And that creepy owl of hers? Apollo says it's her eyes out in the world. It's everywhere. Watching.
So what, she just never leaves the building?
She'll go to the reliquary and places like that. Just never where mortals are. She wears a toga and calls cars iron horses.
Honestly, by now, I'm way more sus on Athena than I am on Pan.
I suppose there's no point in putting it off. Do your thing. Take me to Olympus.
Okay. Oh, when you see Freddie, tell her I'm sorry I couldn't stick around for the movie. And mind if I say something?
Sure.
You've changed. I mean, from the person I met when I first came here. When, you know, you got it together really quick.
Thanks, I guess.